Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Grind. Here's your host, JB.
From the time we recruited John to now, I mean, it's just a complete transformation. A homegrown product that, came in our program to show that you can get it done at Appalachian State.
Appalachian is a brand of itself. It's just a privilege to be a part of the program. I represent the A, but the A is bigger than me.
Hey, welcome back to The Grind. Man, I will tell you what, you've seen the little highlight reel there of John's run in Detroit. What a spectacular event to watch. I chatted with John just a little bit before we came live. I could have predicted his response, and I will tell you, when Coach joins us here in just a second, I will have been able to predict his response as well. It was spectacular to watch as a fan. A lot of great moments for App State wrestlers. Obviously, not come out with the outcome that they would have hoped for in a lot of the situations. But for John Millner, only the second wrestler in App State program history to capture his second All-American title in Detroit this past weekend. What a spectacular event. If you folks watched it, you watched a great event, a lot of good wrestling. To follow John in his progression, if you've watched him over the years, him and I were just talking about it, and I don't even pretend to be that knowledgeable in wrestling, or to have a lot of the technical aspects and know a lot of it, but John's made some improvement, folks. It will be exciting to talk to him and learn more about his experience. And without further ado, let's go check in with John himself. John, how's it going this evening? Looks like we might have lost John. Looks like we lost John there. Let me text him and see if he's gonna join us. It looks like he's froze up there. But the competition there in Detroit was solid. John had a great outing, and so did the rest of the folks. Coach JohnMark Bentley is going to join us, but he's going to be just a few minutes late. So let me actually, I think that might be Coach there, and I think John still froze. Let me see if we can. Let me go see if we can get Coach in here real quick and see if we can chat with him real quick while we're figuring out what's going on with John's feed. Yeah, there's Coach right there. Let's go check in with Coach and chat with him real quick. Hey, Coach, how's it going this evening?
It's going good, Jeremy. How are you, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Coach. We had John was getting lined up to come on, but I think something froze with his feed over there. So I shot him a message real quick to see if he could get back on. Coach, we were talking to John a little bit prior to going live. I got the same response from John that I know I'm going to get from you, and as I was telling the listeners and the viewers, I could have probably predicted it. Viewers, App State Wrestling, good performance. What's your feeling? What's the attitude from the staff and the team coming back from Detroit?
Well, I mean, obviously there's, we were,
if I said we were disappointed, I don't think that would be quite accurate. I thought we actually had a pretty good tournament. It's just a really tough tournament, Jeremy. I mean, it's the best of the best in the country, and it's a 3-day, just brutal tournament. And I thought our guys competed hard and performed pretty well. We had 4 out of our 5 guys made it to the second day, which is, that's a pretty good ratio. And then, obviously having another All-American, John taking 6 was a big deal for our program. Second year in a row, and 5th All-American in the last 10 years. So, getting pretty consistent at producing All-Americans, and it's just hard. I mean, it's a hard tournament. So, was it, the best tournament that I could have ever hoped for? I wouldn't say that, but it wasn't something that I was disappointed in. I mean, I think it's pretty respectable how we performed and the way our guys competed.
Yeah, you hit it on the nail on the head, Coach. It's the best of the best. Like, there's not an easy round. I mean, everybody can look at those rounds, the first rounds, but I think so, and I won't be the one to kind of declare that this is the truth, but the feeling was like the first round had the most upsets maybe ever that the first round has had. So there is, there's John and I were talking final round, there's a 15 seed kid in the final round, right? Like, there's nobody on there in any of those seeds. It's going to be a pushover match for anybody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was, you just look at the teams, Jeremy, and I think you posted something today from the grind that showed all the teams that we finished ahead of. We finished ahead of a ton of Power 5 programs, a ton of traditional wrestling powerhouses, programs that have won national titles. So I think, when you look at that, I mean, man, it's pretty, it's pretty hard to be a top 30 team at the NCAA tournament, and especially the teams that we're beating and competing against that have, just an unlimited amount of resources. And so, I think that, our guys represented this program in a very, positive manner. And I was proud of them in the way they competed. And, obviously we'd love to have had multiple All-Americans or a national champion. But that takes a lot of things going, well for you, and, having a couple of things, getting a couple of breaks and things like that. But, I'm really, happy at the way our guys competed, and I thought they really represented this program in a good way.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of good wrestling. First round is pretty exciting for a lot of those young men, Coach. Obviously disappointing for others. Let's talk about some of the highlights. Obviously, Caleb Smith, a first-round victory out of a kid that was number 3, I think, in that weight class last season. Tremendous first-round effort from Caleb Smith. I told John before we started this live, excited about that young man's career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Caleb's had a phenomenal year. His first year in our starting lineup. You got to remember that as well. Like a year ago, he wasn't even in our starting lineup. So he, gets in our starting lineup this year. Was, pretty much after the first week, ranked in all the national rankings for the entire season. Qualified a bid for the national tournament, and then he goes out and beats the returning All-American, and I think the guy was seated 7th in the weight class right off the bat. And so, there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, he was, competed against a really, really good competitor from the Big Ten, and, handled the guy pretty well in that match, and so obviously, great first round, having 2 upsets on our behalf. And then John winning, having 3 of 5 winning that round of 32 to advance the round of 16 was pretty special.
Yeah, exciting to see that. I know Caleb was excited. Obviously took some tough losses there afterwards to finish that out. I know Cody Russell, super disappointed, I'm sure, in the 2 losses he took there. Thomas Flitz, man, I thought for sure Thomas was putting that together. Tough loss there in the end to put that those hopes of making that All-American status to rest there, Coach. But those first round looked good. His first round looked really good.
Yeah. I mean, Thomas wrestled well. I mean, even in the matches he lost, I thought he was competing well. just it's a tough tournament. He had a really good win first round, beat a guy that he had lost to before, and I think it was the 14th seed at the weight class, and got off to a really good start, and he competed much better than I've ever seen him compete. Probably the last month of his career. He really grew and matured, and I was proud of the way he competed this last month of the season.
Yeah, different wrestler. Tough one for Will. Obviously, he's got a few years left at least. Learning experience, I'm sure. Hope to see that young man rebound and continue his winning ways, and maybe next year put together a couple wins up there at the Nationals.
Yeah, I think Will, he competed hard. He just, what a lot of people don't know is he's dealing with a lot of injuries right now. He was basically bandaged together for the last half of the season. He had a ton of injuries. And I won't disclose what those are, but he may have surgery after season, and now the season's over. It's been hard. It's hard to compete in college wrestling when you're 100% healthy against the best guys in the country. But if you go and you've got multiple injuries that you're trying to manage and still compete at a high level, it's really tough. But Will had a great year this year. Qualified for the national tournament again, and I think he's probably a little bit disappointed in the way the season ended, but I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Being injured and trying to compete against really tough competition is hard, and he actually had multiple injuries on different parts of his body. So, I'm proud of him, man. He really battles hard, and he never makes excuses. And, I know he was disappointed, would have liked to have had a better finish, but the big thing is he's got a lot of experience this year. He had a lot of quality wins, and we just got to get him healthy and back on the mat. And once he's healthy, I think you'll start seeing him blossom and flourish.
Yeah. I thought there was one of the matches I was watching Will in, and it looked like he was a little bit limpy when he got up on one of them, and I kind of figured that Will was battling something other than just his opponent across the mat from him. So, not surprising to hear that for sure. Tough one for Will. Hope he recovers okay, heals from those dings from a tough season, right? This has not been an easy schedule. So hopefully he heals up, come back next season and continue his winning ways. John, Coach, you said it. We talked a little bit about John in the beginning. John just continues to be John, right? I think you said it before we talked about kind of the pre-NCAAs. He's just cool. He's as cool as a cucumber. I think he's even more relaxed than the officials most of the time. Most of the time I see him go up and bump the official's shoulder and shake his hand, and just a cool, calm, collective guy when he's out there on the mat. That's got to play big in an event that big.
Oh, it's huge, Jeremy. I think probably over the last several years I've noticed it, and watching our guys that end up All-American over the last 10 years, just kind of how they've managed their emotions is a really important factor. But even more so this year, I was able to watch throughout the tournament, just observe that the competitors, not just our wrestlers, but the wrestlers from all the different programs around the country, it's a long, grueling 3 days. And, I see some guys that manage their emotions and their energy very well in those 3 days. And those are typically the guys that you see wrestling on day 3. And guys that don't manage their energy and emotions very well. And it's hard for them to stay consistent and compete at a high level for 3 days. But that's the one thing about John is, man, he has a real skill for managing his emotions. He doesn't really get too high, too low for a win or a loss. And I really think that was a huge factor for him this year, in being able to, get back on the podium and, beat some really quality guys. And, I thought he wrestled well. I don't think he would say that he got the result that he wanted, or maybe even the result that we thought he could potentially get. But nonetheless, he accomplished a lot. Taking 6th in the country at that weight class was no joke. And he does a great job of managing his emotions. And he rises to the occasion. I mean, everyone that wrestles him knows it's going to be a battle. I mean, he competes extremely hard, and he's always going to give consistent effort every time he competes. And the way he conducts himself just makes me proud. Not just because he wins, but I think he represents our program in a good fashion.
An outstanding one, Coach. There's an interview that I have the video of from up there in Detroit, and I'll play it here in a minute. We used to call those, when I was in the Army and supervised soldiers, we used to call those the intangibles, right? Like the immeasurables. Those aren't counted in wins and losses, but when you put a microphone in front of a young man that's coming off his second All-American, and especially, nothing against the young student athletes at that age, but they really got a lot to learn, right? They've got a lot of maturing that they still have left to do. But when you put a microphone in front of a young man's face like that's just coming off his second All-American, the second one in App State wrestling history, and ask the questions that he's asked and given the response that he's given, those are things you can't teach people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's a great ambassador for our program, and honestly, he's the poster boy for kind of what our program's all about. We bring in guys that are, hardworking and highly motivated and high character kids that buy into our system, and they grow and develop. And, to see John's growth each year to this point has just been phenomenal. I mean, even looking back to last year, Jeremy, he was an All-American last year, finished 8th in the weight class, which in itself is a phenomenal feat. But the weight class, and I told him last year, I said, you're going to have to be a lot better next year to even take 8th again, because post-COVID year, it's going to be a lot more difficult. People are going to know who you are. You're not going to surprise anybody. And he did. I mean, he really improved and jumped levels in the last 12 months. I mean, he's a completely different wrestler than he was a year ago, and has really closed the gap on a lot of those guys that I think, frankly, would have handled him a year ago.
Yeah.
And he embraced that, and he improved and got better. And I think that's the beauty of our program. I think our guys constantly grow and get better. And, that's one of the things I'm proud of. And, John's a great example of that. And, very, very humble and really is, just a great ambassador for App State wrestling.
Yeah, without a doubt. And as you said, kind of the poster child, right? Homegrown North Carolina kid. I don't know how many North Carolina kids made All-American this year. John might be the only one again. Down the road, kind of a late start in wrestling, as we said before. Didn't get started until high school, kind of finding those diamonds in the rough in their own backyard and developing them into great wrestlers. I mean, that's kind of what it is that the program has done. Coach, you said it, night and day difference, and I was talking to John a little bit before, and we'll discuss it with him in just a second. But people don't score on John often by taking John down. Like, I don't know that happened in the match that he lost in 5th place. If it wasn't for John making the shot and just either the kid taking advantage of something that was open or whatever. But I don't recall that there was a takedown from his opponent that the opponent took the shot and got the takedown. It's definitely where we see John, at least from my perspective. Like you said, a different wrestler. If John gets on top of you, good luck. I think there was one kid that escaped that wheel with like a second left. Outside of that, good luck. John is in for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And I think that's one of the biggest difference from this year than a year ago. I mean, he is substantially better in the neutral position. I mean, he can score. He's hard to take down. And that's probably where he made the biggest jumps over the course of this last 12 months, is improving his skills on his feet and his positioning. And, I think even in that 5th and 6th place match, there were some, I'm not one to really kind of complain about, some of the officiating or the calls that he got, but If you go back and watch the film, there's a position in the first period that all day long, 99 times out of 100, anybody in the country gets a takedown in the position that John John was in, and we were in that position for 30 seconds, don't get a takedown, and they blow whistle and stalemate it, put us back to our feet, which is just mind-boggling to me. And so, sometimes you have to overcome, some of that kind of stuff as well. And, but he wrestled, the returning national finalist to, a standstill. And honestly, I felt like, we wrestled good enough to win that match. And, but yeah, you're right. I mean, he's improved tremendously on his feet, which I think he said last March, right after the NCAA tournament, that he had to get better at wrestling on his feet and not giving up his legs. And I think I would say that it's shown that the work he put off in the off season really paid off.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think, if I recall correctly, last season, that's how he lost. Like the guy that he lost to actually, and it may have been one of these guys that he wrestled again this past season up there in Detroit. But his opponent took like 2 or 3 good shots on him and was able to score some takedowns. This season in that match, I don't know that any of them took a shot against him other than him just getting caught off guard in whatever position he was in, that they were able to score a takedown on him. So great stuff, Coach. Tremendously proud of you and what these young men have put together up there in Detroit. Again, I know a lot of them didn't have the outcome that they wanted to, but as a team, I posted it today, 28th place. Guess who's in 29th place? Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I don't know that if 15 years ago somebody would have told me that App State was going to place ahead of Oklahoma in the NCAA tournament, I don't know that I would have thought they were saying at the time. Obviously, some big opportunities for App State in front of us. Great finish there up in Detroit. Exciting for John and hope that we can continue these ways. Sounds like, Coach, hopefully on a completely different subject, you're going to go do some recruiting, and we'll be up this way this weekend. Hopefully have a few more scholarships dollars to keep improving this program next year.
Yeah, that's the thing, Jeremy. It's always, next man up, and I got to get back to work and find some new talent to come into our culture and buy into our program, and find the next All-American and the next guy that's going to give us a chance to produce that national champion.
Yes, sir. Well, hope to see you this weekend, Coach. Definitely appreciate your time. Any parting shots before we jump off here and get on to John here in just a second?
Yeah, one thing, Jeremy, and I think I'd be it would be, I wanted to mention this tonight. We talked about Thomas just briefly a minute ago, but I really want to give Thomas Flitz a shout out tonight, because he wrestled his last match for us in Detroit, but the growth he's made in the maturing that he's done in the last 6 years has just been phenomenal. And obviously this year he got the monkey off his back, won the conference championship, got to the national tournament, competed well, beat a higher seed than he was in, and that's all great. And he has improved as a tremendous wrestler, but he is first class as far as the type of young man he is. I mean, he really represents this program in such a positive way. And I'll be out in the community and run into just random people that tell me that, hey, they're like, hey, we know Thomas Flitz, and we just want to tell you what a fine young man he is, and just how much we love him, and how great he is to our kids. I mean, he's done a really fabulous job. Him and John are both great ambassadors for our program, and a lot of other guys. I couldn't really mention everybody on our team and all our seniors, but I definitely wanted to give Thomas a shout out, because the other thing about it is he loses, and at the national tournament, and obviously he's devastated. He knows his career is over, but he was so invested in watching John win, even though he was disappointed that he wasn't going to reach his goal of being an All-American. But I thought it was really neat watching him and how much he wanted to see John succeed.
Yeah.
And I think that's what our program's about. And, just a great ambassador of our program. And I think that's the thing I'm most proud of as coach. I mean, obviously we've got great wrestlers like John that people know who they are for how they are on the mat. But it makes me proud that I think they're just as good as young men and people with high character as they are as wrestlers.
Yeah, Coach, that's definitely what we say, right? The intangibles. Those are things that you can't teach. You can't teach other young men. There's some skills, life skills, you can't teach people, right? Yeah. And the respect and being that professionalism and the maturity that's that young men like Thomas have, and a lot of, like you said, the majority of the young men. Most of them never make the highlight reels like the Thomas Flitz or the John Milners or whatever that may be. But there's a lot of young men like that. What I will say is, right, not everybody makes that cut, right? Like there's a lot of people that come to App State to be wrestlers that don't make it past their first season because they don't have that characteristic that, as you speak to. Thomas Flitz is a tremendous young man. Every interaction that I've had with him, whether it's at a gas station on a road trip to a football game or in the community or in varsity gym, just a stand-up guy that you and the staff have to be proud of. Again, didn't get the results that he wanted to, but Thomas Flitz is going to be a great young man for sure.
Absolutely.
Coach, appreciate you, man. We're going to go and chat with John after this. Appreciate your time, and let's get back together and talk the camps. You want to say anything about the camps real quick before we let you go?
Yeah, obviously our camps are going to be full scale this summer, and it's been 3 years since we've had our full summer wrestling camps. Obviously, I think they're, some of the, just best, camps in the country. I mean, we have so many great teams and individuals, great technicians. But the biggest thing is like, a lot of the proceeds from that camp go to support our program. So if you're out there, you're listening and you want to find a way you can support App State Wrestling, that camp's a really good way you can support our program.
And what's the age groups, Coach, that you guys are? Is there any openings left? Is it full or what's this?
No, we've got openings left. I mean, we have pretty much camps for all ages. We have a youth camp that starts from, I think it's they have to be 7 years old, but 7 years old through the 6th grade. And then, pretty much we've got our high school camps, our middle school camps, those team camps that have both middle school, high school. Then we also have a prospect camp, an intensive camp. There's just a lot of options pretty much for everyone that's in wrestling. We've probably got a camp that'll fit you. Nice.
Let's book a live stream, a conversation. Maybe you can find one of your coaches that come up and participate, or some of the previous participants, and let's chat about that. I think having a conversation about that would be pretty awesome as well. Coach, appreciate you. It'll be a good time if you wanted looking for camps for your student athlete or yourself to advance. I can tell you, I talked to a lot of people in wrestling these past 3 years, and not all of them are involved in App State Wrestling, but the one thing they all tell me, and they're all in common, is the camps are top notch, and that's usually how they're connected to App State Wrestling. So, Coach, appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you this weekend.
Sounds good. See you, Jeremy.
All right, Coach. Hey, we're going to, before we bring John on, we're going to go and listen to the interview real quick, and be mindful, right? Like John, just, if I'm not mistaken, just secured his second All-American, had a good run in Detroit. Only the second student athlete in App State Wrestling program history to have 2 All-Americans. And I just want you to first listen to the question and then listen to John's response, right? I don't think John knew I was going to do this, and I know Coach didn't. But this is telling of the program and the student athletes that this program has. So just take a minute to listen, and then we'll get back here with John.
Would you like to become the face of Appalachian State Wrestling? In other words, if we talk about the future, we'll see you.
Appalachian is a brand of itself. It's just a privilege to be a part of the program. That A represents. I represent the A, but the A is bigger than me. I represent my teammates. I represent my coaching staff, everybody that's believed in me. My family. That if you come to Appalachian, it's a family. It's not just you. You're not just the face of a program. That's not the way we operate in our program. It's a team effort, and everybody plays a part in getting us here.
I tell you, if you do that same question to probably, I don't want to say 90% because I hope that it's not that high, but at least 80% of the kids are going to talk about that responsibility, the responsibility of being the face of the program, right? Not many of them are going to talk about the program being bigger than themselves. So I say that to say, as an App State grad and as an App State fan, athletics fan, John, that interview and that response from John is just what 90% of the people on the mountain eat, breathe, and sleep and hope for in our student athletes. Again, the intangibles, the things that you can't teach student athletes, that just freely come out of their mouth when that situation opens. Let's go check in with John, and talk about that second All-American run. John, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are things in the Millner household?
Right now, I would say they're up right now. Obviously, having a good turnout at Detroit. Not what we wanted, but at the end of the day, it's still something special to be a two-time All-American and having the possibility of being in the record books forever. I think that's gonna mean a lot. It means a lot to me personally, and just the impact it'll have on my legacy and, what my son sees whenever he looks up, his dad on the internet or whatever they got whenever he's of age to do that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. To talk about that is stuff like people that, a few decades ago, they can't go back and watch their dad on YouTube. There might be some old tape on there, but now your generation and every other generation that comes out of this, right? When your kids and grandkids and great grandkids Google your name or whatever the platform is at the time, they're going to be able to watch the video. Like, they're going to be able to see the matches that you were involved in. You win in your second All-American. All that stuff is going to be digital. That's got to be pretty special for you. And I'm sure he was up there, right? Like, he was up there with your wife in Detroit, wasn't he?
No, actually, they didn't come up because she's pregnant right now and she's at high risk for flights right now. So
yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it was tough for her. I mean, she was definitely, during breaks, between sessions, I would call them and see and check on them and stuff.
Yeah, because your wife is in it. Like, if nobody knows John's wife, I can tell you, it's not difficult to spot her, and you will hear her in Varsity Gym when John is wrestling for sure. She is an App State wrestling fan. She's probably a wrestling fan first, an App State wrestling fan. Now that's where John's at, but definitely a John fan for sure when it comes to John performing on the mat. John, what? Let's talk about first, right? Just real quick, you got kind of a late start in wrestling. Just to kind of bring anybody up that's following John for the first time, because there might be people out there that are listening to you talk and seeing some of your content for the first time. You were kind of a late bloomer. Like, you're not the traditional All-American wrestling success story.
Yeah. So I started wrestling, my freshman year of high school. My coach that actually got me started in wrestling, he's been to the last two NCAA championships. Dan Snell, great coach. He's from Ohio. Got me started in wrestling, and then, Coach Joey, I'm sure he's at every match just about. You'll see him, and he's like my dad, and he coached me as well. So I mean, they come to a lot of the matches. They support me, and it means a lot too, just to have two people that got me started into the sport of wrestling. Just when I couldn't even lace my shoes up and walk on the mat right, had no right to be wrestling in competition. You got to earn that right. But just to see them, and me accomplish what I have and then be a part of it, it's pretty special. And that's something that I'll always remember, and I never take for granted. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Special.
Yeah, that's awesome to get such a late start and to end up where you're at today. Just in a few words, what's a piece of advice that you can give somebody? Let's say the kid that's going to start as a freshman wrestling in high school this year. What's kind of the one piece of advice from your first day on a mat to where you're the two-time All-American now? What's kind of in a nutshell, what would you tell that young man today?
Just never give up in a nutshell, Never give up. Wrestling is everybody's gonna take a loss in wrestling. Even at this level, even as good as I am, it's always you're always the opportunity to take a loss is always there. And if you give up on yourself, you never know what could be in the future or what you could accomplish. So, stay true to yourself and trust in the process and work hard.
Trust
that's
in the
what wrestling
process.
is.
Yeah. Trust in the process and definitely never give up. John, a big difference this year from last year. We talked about it a little bit. I believe if my memory doesn't quite lose me from your last year's performance, I believe you gave up a few legitimate takedowns that put you into 8th place last year. This year, as I said before, it wasn't so much just straight takedowns that you gave up this year, other than you taking a shot, coming up in a bad position where they were able to score a takedown on you. How have you made those improvements? I mean, it's hard to improve at that level, but how have you made those little improvements? What's some adjustments that you've made in your personal life or training as a wrestler to get to you being that much improved?
Just really, being really focused and detailed in all my training. It's just you want to accomplish, the goals that I have and improve on the areas that I want to improve on. You can't take a single practice of not focusing on the areas you need to improve on, and that's just been a focus point. Because you can do the work, you can do it, and you can just go on autopilot. But if you do that, you never really truly grow in the position. So if you really detail it and focus on what you're doing, you can always grow, and then you can see those growths paid off. I feel like one thing I really worked on a lot this past summer, was stopping a shot and then getting to a reattack. And this season I feel like I maybe hit one or two of those, but I worked on it all summer, and then we get to the national tournament and I think I hit it all backside. It's kind of the recipe to how I won. Is defense, ride out, and then a reattack and scoring on it. So, but just to, I was happy definitely to see dividends on that, because sometimes in wrestling you can do all the work and you can never reap the benefits of all the work that you sowed. So I was really happy with that, and just to see that pay off, and it was gratifying for sure.
Yeah. Another area of improvement, your top. Right? Like man, every time I see you get into a position, whether it's through a takedown or the start of a new period and they choose bottom, I just think to myself, that young man is in for a rough time. Very few people can get out without just stoppage of time. There are some people that have gotten escapes, but not many, like maybe on one hand number this season, right? How do you get that good at riding, right? Because that doesn't come naturally, and there's a lot of wrestlers that just don't ride very well. What's your key to that?
My key is, just being really stingy and being really gritty. It's, wrestling through the position, all the way. If you stop, some positions, if I stop wrestling, I'll get reversed to my back, but, just continue to wrestle through the positions. You can ride a guy. And two, because I wasn't very good on my feet, coming in, that was the area that kind of made it the playing field level for me. If you can ride a guy, if you don't ride him for the whole period, you ride him for a minute, that takedown's going to become a little bit easier to get. You ride a guy for a minute as opposed to staying on your feet. So, I know that that's a position that I need, and, I just got good at. But now, it's a position that, I don't think I need it to win a match, but it helps to break a guy, just to break a wheel and just know that they've given up. I know I can do it on top. So,
yeah, and you've done it plenty this season for sure. Like, especially when you get them on their belly, if they hit their belly, John, I feel like I can walk away, go get a beer from the fridge, and come back because he's still going to be there. like there's nothing that's going to happen there.
That's one thing I think I have noticed from the App State fans of Varsity Gym is if I throw two boots in,
Done.
even though like there's no point scored and no position change, the crowd just instantly like uproars and cheers, and That's pretty cool. I think just because it's one of my favorite positions, and that they recognize that people that they might not know a whole lot about wrestling, but they recognize that that's a position that they think that I'm going to win no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get some boots in on somebody, the next thing that's going to happen is their belly's going to hit the ground, and they might as well give up until the stoppage of time, for sure. John, what was different this year from last year, just in your experience?
Well, definitely the crowd is a lot better crowd this year. It's way more people. The arena was better. City, I won't say the city was better, but the crowd was definitely better.
I'm a Michigan guy, just down the road from Detroit, as a matter of fact. So
St. Louis ain't the best either.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
But no, I mean, really, it's about the body wise, grueling and mentally fatiguing is about the same. I will say, this tournament was a lot more difficult than last year, but that's just the way life goes. Everything gets more tough. But yeah, it was definitely long, grueling, mentally tiring, mentally exhausting. I think it's like one interview with Hayden Hidley, NC State 74-pounder. He called it the Wasteland Invitational, and I mean that's spot on. I mean it's those guys are anybody you see day 3, you watch them warm up. It is rough. So yeah.
You can definitely tell day 3 people aren't as fresh as they were day 1.
No, especially those backside warriors. You get an extra. I think I wrestled 8 matches total. So I mean,
that seems to be the only way you're going to do it, though.
Yeah, I think.
Although this year it wasn't the full backside road warrior. You got a little bit of a jump start on it.
Yeah, well, last year I made it to the quarters, and then I had to win 1 match to All-American. So
yeah,
that was it was just I guess four matches to All-American. This year I had to win 6 to All-American. So
yeah,
extra 2 and then 2 for the placements. But
Yep. Definitely a different pace in the wrestling from day 1 to day 3 for sure. You can definitely tell that those young men are taxed. John, just I'm going to ask a question out of ignorance. There's only one weigh-in, correct? Like you weigh in the morning of the first day?
No, there's 3 weigh-ins.
What?
Yeah. You weigh in Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You get 1 pound each day. It's and that's the part too. I mean, so like for me, like I wake up in the morning, get down the weight, wrestle. After you get done wrestling, go cut weight, go to sleep without eating dinner, wake up in the morning, cut weight, weigh in, wrestle, and then, that night you put your stuff back on, you cut weight, go to sleep without eating dinner, wake up in the morning, cut weight, wrestle, and that's the tournament. So I mean, it definitely feels forever. It feels like an eternity. So
that is grueling.
Yeah,
that is grueling. I would have never guessed that it was that intense to weigh in every morning like that. It's no wonder that there isn't more medical forfeitures.
Yeah, well, people want it. People want it.
Yeah,
that's what it's about. Nobody ever remembers your season. They only remember, what you did at the end. So
yeah, that's true. John, I appreciate you joining us tonight, man. But I'm going to ask the elephant in the room question. Are we going to see John back in the Block A next year?
Well, time will tell. Will be something we have to discuss and see if it'll work for our family, and anything's possible.
Nice. That's the same question you gave the last time, just so you know. You got to check with the missus, I think, is what you said last time. So obviously the conversation with Mrs. Millner still needs to happen. It's good. That's good. You're learning young man. So keep up that track, and if there's anything we can do
I'll just say one thing too. I wouldn't be as as good of a wrestler I am without the support of my wife and and what she does behind the scenes. There's no way I could train and go to school and help provide for my family without her being there to support me. So she has to sacrifice just as much, if not more, than I do just to achieve these goals. So and anybody that's married, they know that too. But I just can't give you an answer and not have it, her be 100% in it as well. So,
yeah, 100%. I wouldn't expect you to do anything less if you know what's good for you, for sure. And I would tell you, any successful student athlete has a great support system, right? Because it's not easy. So
100%. Whether it's it's from my wife to my kids to my family, and then just Boone in general, athletics and whatnot. So it's always great just to have support, and we can't accomplish what we do without it, and definitely, the more support, the better, and it'll help out. But, stuff can't get done on your own. Nothing in life really gets done on your own. Nothing big, at least I feel like, in my opinion, can get done. So. Yeah,
I don't think you can All-American alone, right? Like, it takes a network of support to make sure that you can make it there.
There's always, you're out there wrestling by yourself, but there's always a coach in your corner. If you ever look at any pictures, any videos, those coaches just invested in the match as if they was wrestling it themselves. So, that's something. And my wife's screaming at the TV, slapping her hand on the table and stuff too. So it's never just one person.
Well, I think I've been sitting next to your wife a few times that we've yelled at the ref stalling a couple of times together at least. So great to have that network, John. I hope, man, I hope that somehow we can see you in the Block A and in Varsity Gym again next year. Obviously, time will tell. Take your time, talk it through with your wife and your young family, and make the best decision for you guys. But definitely hope that decision involves Appalachian State Wrestling.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
All right, John, appreciate you, man. Congratulations. Stay in touch. If this thing falls our way, we will definitely be in touch. Again, best of luck. Great to watch your action up there in Detroit. It's always fun to watch you on the mat. My daughter's a big fan. She's watched some John Millners on the mat as well. So appreciate you, and it was awesome to watch you guys up there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a good night, John.
You too.
Man, the best part of the job, or the best part of doing this, why does it say, I don't know why it says, I don't know. Anyways, best part about what we do is talk to student athletes like that. Always exciting, always fun, always a good time to talk to student athletes and coach. Coach, I knew that was his trek. He got back obviously Sunday. He asked me if I was going to be in town this weekend, and I asked him why, and he's already on the trail recruiting. So it never ends for those guys. The staff is right back at it. Obviously, the student athletes, as Coach said, some of them got to heal up, maybe some surgeries in their near future, and on the road to recovery. And I'll be honest with you guys, wrestling really doesn't have an off season. We didn't get into that too much, but maybe we will in some future episodes in the coming weeks. But those guys really don't get a break. They'll start some freestyle events here shortly. And continue to improve their skills and continue to progress. So we'll talk to them a little bit more about that, but definitely going to get Coach back on to talk about the camps. I will tell you, if you're a parent, if you're a wrestler, pre-college, high school, grade school, middle school, whatever it may be, check it out. I have yet to talk to anybody that's been to those camps that tell me that it wasn't worth it. They all say that they're fantastic. Advanced some of the most they've ever jumped in their wrestling career. And as Coach said, if you go and look at the team and ask how many people on the team has went through our camps, it's probably a pretty good percentage of them. I don't know the exact numbers, but I would dare say the vast majority of at least the starters, have been through those camps. So that should tell you something. A lot of great talent out there. And as Coach said, it's a tremendous fundraising arm for them. In reality, that's how they kind of managed to get to where they're at, and the success that they've had as a program is through those camps, so they can have the resources they need. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Stick around. Hopefully in the coming weeks we'll have Coach back on to talk about the camps, and maybe we'll talk a little bit of recruiting trail with him. That would be pretty good. Maybe we can get. Maybe I'll see if I can find somebody. Maybe there's a listener or a coach out there, or somebody that keeps up on the high school recruiting trails, and maybe we can talk some recruits in the coming off season. Hey, what a season. And truly, I will say it again from the bottom of my heart, thank you to the subscribers of Rockfin, our Rockfin channel. Thank you to the Patreons. Couldn't have done it without any of you, not just a one of you. It has been a rough season this season, getting the Rockfin content out there and streaming those duels that we have at home. I think the majority of the fans really enjoy them. Hats off to you guys. Couldn't have done it without you. Still couldn't do it without you. I will tell you, I'm very early in the conversations with athletics, but I've asked for some NIL information from them, because I think it'd be kind of cool to engage some of our student athletes and to make them more a part of what we do here. So look for that. Hopefully we have some movement from athletics very soon, and can make some moves with that. Again, could not do that without the Rockfin or the Patreon folks. So appreciate that support. Appreciate the givings and the subscriptions there. Definitely goes to very good use on our end. And a little bit of, and again, thanks to my wife for being so forgiving for the money that it hasn't covered. So definitely appreciate those that are a part of it, and look forward to some more content this season, especially if we can get some movement on the NIL deals with athletics. Appreciate everybody, and as always, go Apps.
This has been a production by Yosef Media.